Well, hello again. Thanks to everybody for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates. Come to you every week with the new releases in the shop this week. This is for the week of October 18th, 2024. As many of you know, that we started this just because we wanted to keep people informed who couldn't come to the shop on during pandemic times and whatever. And now you can sort of do that anytime. So why I still do these, I don't know. It's interesting. I think you're all lifers at this point. If you had stuck with me from the beginning, you watched my sort of trajectory. And yeah, so not really like trying to change the world, just change it in my own little way, I suppose. But anyway, thank you again. Thank you for all the great birthday wishes last week. That was very kind of you, and I really appreciate that. And did get to do a few fun things, so it made it worthwhile. So the years just keep ticking by. So it's an interesting time right now. We're in an election season in the U.S., and while I don't get political on this channel at all, I just say that election seasons are always difficult for music retail and retail in general, because people's attentions get turned to other things with good reason, I suppose. So thank you to those of you who keep supporting and watching this channel, and because I know your time is of the essence. And I think music is sort of the therapy that we all sort of need to kind of switch certain things off from time to time. But you need to stay plugged into the issues, I think, and what people are saying. That's all important. So there's my soapbox for the week. And so I'm going to get on to the new releases here. And, one thing I will say also, there was a report this week that came out, NME, and I can't remember what other sort of publications, that was doom and gloom about, oh, vinyl sales are down for the first time in 17 years. They dropped 33%. It's not true. They came out with all sorts of rebuttal articles after that. Vinyl sales are up 6.2%. They were using data from a reporting company that had changed their reporting method. And some of it is a little bit, I think, that it's hard to collect information from independent stores like this because we sell a fair amount of used, and maybe not everything is like trackable and da da da, all sorts of things. But I would say, it seems like sales, while they may have sort of plateaued in a way, the price of a lot of things have gone up. Maybe the volume of what's sold has sort of stagnated, and it's economics is what it is. So, and while I may have sort of mixed feelings on the fact that things are more expensive, I mean, it doesn't warm my heart because I'm actually paying a lot more for all of these new records to come in. It's a big investment. Don't let my sort of happy-go-lucky nature fool you. It is not cheap or easy to do that sort of thing. Our margins have actually been squeezed further by especially major labels with the new price structures. So that's kind of a negative. But on the positive side, I think tariffs would also kill us, because a lot of the records that we get right now, because they still are lagging pressing plants in the US, a lot of things are imported from Europe, and many of the European records get their or plants get their vinyl pellets from places in Ukraine, and any of that stuff is already hard to get, which is why one reason prices have gone up. And then you're going to throw an extra 10 to 20% on that as a import type situation, and at the current price structure, if you're already paying in some cases $40 to $50 for certain records, like I think the new Billy Strings was 50, the new Post Malone was 50. Those are already pushing the ceiling, and now you're asking the people to pay 60, 65 for some of that stuff. That's going to be a real problem. So from the economic standpoint, you can see where that's concerning to me. I'm one of the probably outliers in a way where Record stores, most record stores have done better since the pandemic, during and since, like not at first, but once sort of things opened up, because people sort of rediscovered a lot of it. Whereas in the years before the pandemic, I hear like all the talk about like how great the economy was, and it was very bad in my situation. So maybe I'm a little opposite in like what some people would sort of say is like, oh, the good times or whatever. I don't know. I guess it's all, isn't it all sort of a game of who's coming out on top this week and who's not? You know, I mean, that's sort of what it is. But anyway, that's just sort of a little information to put in your sort of memory banks there. If you don't like your cost of records going up, you really need to think about who you might be voting for this time. That said, okay, I'm getting into my. See, I'm not playing favorites here. Let's just get into it. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Albert King, or Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan. This is their live record. Live. This was done in 1983, so we're talking 41 years ago. It's the only time that they ever performed together, recorded. Complete performance. This restores the original, had cut like 5 or 6 songs out of it. So this re-adds them, features Born Under Bad Sign, Texas Flood. It was cut by Jeff Powell at Takeout Vinyl and mastered by Paul Blakemore, Craft Recordings. They do an excellent job with everything that they do, so I think that's a winner. Well, we had Record Store, not Record Store Day, that's coming up, Black Friday Record Store Day, November 29th, the day after Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much turkey because you won't be able to wake up from the tryptophan the next morning. We open at 8 a.m. Rhino has been doing Rocktober, and a couple weeks ago it was a blitz. We had 35, 40 titles all at once. It was insane. So this week, a few titles, not crazy like that. We get 2 Ramones classics from the 80s, Animal Boy and Pleasant Dreams. This one's 1981. This one's 86. This one features the KKK Took My Baby Away. This one has Somebody Put Something in My Drink. Both great records. Maybe not the top of their canon, I suppose, but yeah, and I think they're color vinyl. They don't say on the stickers, but there's those 2 Ramones, and there's also a third one which is not listed as Rocktober, but I think the vinyl is supposed to be a silver vinyl. This is Subterranean Jungle, and features their track Psychotherapy. This is a little bit later too, I think 83, yep. All right, so 3 Ramones records today. And then also we get a Velvet Underground reissue of Loaded, and this is not the original Loaded, this is an alternate track listing. So this is early versions, demos, and alternate mixes of things like Sweet Jane, Rock and Roll, and Train Round the Bend, crystal clear vinyl. So this is like, they put out a deluxe edition on CD, and it would be like the bonus tracks, but in their own sort of different version of the album. One of my favorite records of the late 80s, 87, and because I was a goth kid, you know, I'm wearing my black today, Halloween's coming. Sisters of Mercy, Floodland, Andrew Eldritch, and yeah, you got Patricia Morrison in the background, who was drafted in as the bass player during this time, but I don't think she actually played bass on this record, if I remember correctly. But this is the album that Andrew worked with Jim Steinman of Meatloaf fame on the track This Corrosion, which is like a 10-11 minute masterpiece of layered vocals, and just it's a crazy track. It's crazy good. And then other songs on here, Lucretia. That was Lucretia My Reflection, but here it's just listed as Lucretia. Mother Russia is great. A Dominion Mother Russia. I love the tracks Flood 1 and Flood 2. Definitely gothy. very dark and sort of brooding. His vocals are down here, but it's a lot of fun too. And another reissue, they just keep cranking out the Fish. This one's great. You don't see this one as often either. Billy Breathes. We had Hoist recently, plus I think 3 others. So I've got like maybe 5 or 6 different Fish titles on vinyl in the store right now, which is more since I can remember ever. This was their 6th album on the Above the Trees green colored vinyl produced by Steve Lillywhite and Fish. And this is 1996, so their prime era. Steve Lillywhite, producer for Dave Matthews Band, U2, a lot of people. Anyway, good era for them. And there's a lot of reissues this week. We're sort of reissue season. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Long After Dark. And this is on turquoise vinyl, includes a double-sided lithograph. This is the album with You Got Lucky, was the kind of big hit from it, but it also has Change of Heart and Straight Into Darkness. Also sort of prime era Tom. I would say maybe not everybody's favorite, but maybe that was the reason to do it, because it's not one that you would say like, hey, I need a deluxe of that. Interestingly, there's a 3-disc version on CD that has a bunch of bonus tracks on the second disc. Stories We Could Tell from French TV, Never Be You, Turning Point original drums version, Don't Make Me Walk the Line, Finding Out from French TV, Heartbreakers Beach Party extended version. It's got a Wild Thing, One-on-One, Ways to Be Wicked, Denver Sessions, and then a Blu-ray audio disc too, $30, so it's not too bad. For the Tom completist, I don't know if those have been put on vinyl. I don't know why they wouldn't, because it's Tom Petty. Everything needs to be on vinyl for him right now. Let's see. All right, moving on now. I've got some new releases here. Japandroids, and this is their new record, Fate and Alcohol. It's been a long time, it feels like 6-7 years, maybe 8 years. Includes an 8-page booklet and poster, limited color vinyl. It's only 2 guys. I'm like, do they not get along or something? I'm not sure. Then they said something like, this is probably going to be their last record. So who knows? I mean, I suppose that there come times when you kind of maybe get on each other's nerves or whatever. There is a song on here called A Gaslight Anthem. So, interesting. They're sort of roots rock, blues rock, I don't know, somewhere in that Black Keys zone, I suppose, but a little like rougher, less produced. Kylie Manogue and Tension 2, this was kind of a surprise actually. She did say that she had more tracks from the Tension sessions, and that album was mostly produced by Biff Stannard, who Spice Girls producer, who done a lot of work with Kylie over the years. And then this one is sort of a hodgepodge variety of producers. They've gone a lot more dancey on it, I believe. After the success of Padam Padam, she's been in the business now for also 37, 38 years, 37, 36, something like that. So she's a lifer. She's like a more friendly Madonna. Well, she's got less haughty attitude. It seems like a very sweet person. So anyway, and she just keeps going. Little Pixie on limited edition yellow vinyl. This features lights, camera, action. Also, My Oh My, her duet with it's a trio with BB Rexa and Tove Lo. Also featuring Orville Peck, her duet with him, and Diplo, and Sia. There's a duet with her. She's worked with Sia before. So there's that. Tension 2. Who knew? I think it's just, they just kept going once the last album did pretty well. So MC5 Heavy Lifting. This RIP, this was their sort of big like reunion record, and then they passed away Wayne Kramer suddenly passed away. This features Tom Morello / Vernon Reid and the original MC5 drummer Dennis Thompson. Their first recordings in 50 plus years. A limited edition with bonus LP featuring previously unreleased live recordings from the MC50 tour celebrating 50 years of Kick Out the Jams. So yeah, the MC5 was around for a few years. They did a few records, then they broke up. Wayne Kramer did a lot of other things, and then they just gotten back together, and then yeah, it's what happens when you wait so long. Kim Thale plays on this too. Anyway, MC5. And another new record from Jerry Cantrell. If you're into Alice in Chains, he keeps putting them out. This one's called I Want Blood. It's on red vinyl featuring Vilified, Afterglow, and I Want Blood 2 LP with 9 bonus tracks exclusive to vinyl. I guess check it out, you know, if you like Alice in Chains. He had an album out a couple years ago, and it didn't do that great sales-wise, mainly because it was so darn difficult to get on vinyl. It was not through regular channels. This one is, so I hope this one does a little better for him. But I mean, it's his own. It's still on the Jerry Cantrell label, but his own label. But I think he's made it a little more widely available. This album, I guess it's sort of controversial, but it's the new Voids album. This is Julian Casablancas of The Strokes and a bunch of people in a side project. It's called Like All Before You. I say controversial because it's gotten sort of mixed reaction. I have not heard anything from it yet. So, but if you're into Julian or The Strokes, you might want to check that out. Voids records never have typically sold very well, so I don't really know where to put that, but Julian and Voids fans will know. Jake Shimabukuro and Mick Fleetwood, and I'm sorry, Bukuro. I can never say that name. It's so long. Blues Experience. This is ukulele. Jake's a ukulele player, and Mick Fleetwood on drums. Then it's got the other players listed. And Sonny Landreth is on this too on guitar. 8 tracks, sort of long. They do Rockin' in the Free World, Songbird, Whiter Shade of Pale. So a lot of like cover tunes, but ukulele with blues. Ukulele blues. Jake is very talented. He's done really well. Has a lot of, I'd say, famous friends at this point. This, I think, came out last week, and I might have shown it on CD, but Last Dinner Party and their more recent, or their only record, really, Prelude to Ecstasy. It features the album, and then there's a second record of acoustic and cover versions. They do This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us. It's from Sparks, Wicked Game, Army Dreamers, and Up North. And then a bunch of live songs. So if you're into that album, that's sort of like if you've waited, this might be a good time to get it. It's a great album. Probably one of the best this year, best debuts. Young female group. Art rock, I suppose, sort of Baroque pop, whatever you want to call that. This actually came out a couple weeks ago, and then we ended up getting it sort of late, but Jethro Tull bursting out. It's early today, people. And this is a live record from Jethro Tull, reissue. I think it's 3 LPs. Yeah, 3 LPs. And Stephen Wilson of Porcupine Tree fame did the remixing on that. We've had the CD version of that in a little box set over here for a while. And yeah, there's the vinyl. Another sort of late arrival, the new Blood Incantation album. I love this cover. It's awesome artwork. This is Absolute Elsewhere, indie retail exclusive, gatefold, gold LP and poster, limited to 1,500 units. These guys are getting like major press and very good reviews. I think this scored very high on on Pitchfork, so higher than the Voids album. And another album that came out last week, and we just ended up with it here now, Dirty Dollhouse. And this is an album from Chelsea Mitchell and her team of players from Bucks County, PA. I think they're in like the Newtown area. She's actually, I believe she owns a record store in the Newtown area. But what a beautiful voice she has. I checked her out, and XPN here was promoting her. And it's sort of country rock or like Americana, I would say, but this is a very good album. It's called Vinyl Child Queen Coyote. It's a sort of a double record. It's 3-sided. So, but there's 17 songs. So you're getting a good value here for $27. Not bad. It can be done, people. You know, sometimes it's like artists like that. It's like they're not out there to just break the bank and make money. Robert Smith recently of The Cure have a new album coming out. You see the live one, live Paris album here, but their album comes out November 1st. He just gave a long interview saying like, I don't know why ticket prices have to be so high. It's really all about greed, and they've tried really hard to go after that the flexible ticket pricing. But it's so hard when you're like the only ones trying to do it, you know. I don't know how many of them are, but I'm sure there's more than one. But all right, so this is Doja Cat, and people who know Doja Cat, I don't have to explain who she is. This is her album Scarlet 2 and Claude, and this is the one that came out last year that had the spiders on the cover, and this is the vinyl version. Finally came out. It has Paint the Town Red, Agora Hills, Attention, and OK Loser, and more. So Doja Cat, I don't think it's more of a rappy album, I believe. It's not as pop as some of her earlier stuff. Also this is her most recent album. This was called I Used to Know Her. First time on vinyl, featuring Take You There, Hard Place, and Could Have Been, featuring Bryson Tiller. Slightly gold vinyl, and slightly gold. Her, you know, she's put out, I think this is her third or fourth album. Some have not been available on vinyl. I guess I don't get that, why they don't put these out so that fans can buy them. But her fingernails are actually sort of shiny, sparkly gold there, if you look closely at it. But talented girl, definitely woman. All right, got some jazz reissues here. Blue Notes this week, we get Donald Byrd and Royal Flush. This features people like Herbie Hancock and Pepper Adams. So it's a Blue Note, part of the series. And Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, Night in Tunisia. And this has been out before in different forms, different formats. But these are two super classic, especially Night in Tunisia is like a perennial seller. So, but it's cool that they've done these for Blue Note with Kevin Gray doing the coherent audio remastering of these. The Art Blakey features Lee Morgan, Wayne Shorter, Bobby Timmons, and Jamie Merritt. Those are very, very cool. And then some more reissues. So many reissues. Starting Line. If you're into emo stuff, Say It Like You Mean It. This is sort of a classic from about 25 years ago. This was their debut album featuring The Best of Me on newly remastered audio. Starting Line was one of those bands like in the Blink era that just sold quietly on CDs. I don't know if they really ever had a big, massive breakout, but they did very well. So a lot of fans know who I'm talking about there. Another great album from 25 years now. It's 20th anniversary, 20th. Stars with Set Yourself on Fire. Stars sort of kind of were linked up with Broken Social Scene and sort of broke off and did their own stuff. I love this cover art. It's really cool. It's like a big cutout hand on this red cover. But starts with the track "Your Ex-Lover Is Dead." If you like, I guess, sort of like modern rock singer-songwriter, stuff like Death Cab for Cutie, male-female vocals, I mean, I would check this out if you have not heard it. I'm saying this to people who are like my age and older. Some of them might not know what this is, but it's actually very good. All right, another new album, Kelly Finnegan, and he's on Coal Mine Records, which is sort of a like soul throwback kind of label, sort of like Daptone mostly. And this album was Kelly's new one. It's A Lover Was Born. It says this is quintessential soul music on the sticker. Anyway, this is on cyan blue vinyl. So if you're into old soul, check that out. If you're into, people on the Daptone, like what the Sacred Souls just came out, you might want to look up Kelly Finnegan. Tim Heidecker, Slipping Away. This is Tim's latest release. Independent store exclusive, limited to 500 copies, pressed on frosted teal vinyl. Tim, longtime, so just a longtime artist, been around for a while, still making good records. This is pretty cool. So they've been kind of celebrating the anniversary of American football. That band's big albums early on, quietly making sort of introspective emo albums. And this is American football covers album. So what this is these are other people doing songs from American football's album. Frosted glass vinyl, from tracks from Iron and Wine, Blonde Shell, Novo Amor, Ethel Cain, Yvette Young, Girl Ultra, Mags, Manchester Orchestra, and John McEntire. So if you want to hear those songs done a different way, that's a pretty iconic record for indie music. The Muffs, Blonder and Blonder. The Muffs have kind of had a little bit of a reissue campaign going. They had some great albums pressed on crystal clear vinyl with liner notes from the band featuring Sad Tomorrow and fan favorite Oh Nina. And this one I went back to reorder more copies and they were already discontinued. So if you want that, you need to get it fast. Just like the Tim Heidecker. I think some of these, they really didn't make much of them. Sabaton, a reissue of The Last Stand. I think this is from just a couple years ago. But if you missed it, it's out again. So we have, I think, 2 or 3 Sabaton albums in stock right now. Joe Henry, Madonna's brother-in-law. It's a great singer-songwriter if you like sort of that kind of Tom Waitsy vibe, a little less cranky maybe, more like somewhere between that and maybe like Daniel Lanois, I suppose. But it's his compelling 11th studio album on black double vinyl, including unreleased live material on vinyl for the first time. A masterpiece, a tour de force of songwriting and production from American Songwriter 2009. Joe's the guy who wrote Madonna's song Don't Tell Me, and then she took the song sort of and did like a kind of hip-hoppy electronic cut-up of it. That was a big hit around 2000 now, so it's been over almost 25 years. Vince Guaraldi, Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. This was out last year. This is another reissue of this time on Purple Jelly Bean vinyl for RSD Essentials. So if you missed that, that's back on the shelf. The Jackson 5, and they keep doing their reissue campaign. This is their 3rd album, also on red vinyl, like the last one. This one features I'll Be There, is the first track on it, and also has Mama's Pearl. This is prime era Jackson 5, again, early 70s. I want to say like 73, 72. This is one of the 3 albums they released in 1970. Okay. All in 1 year. Well, I was only like a year or two old then, so sue me if I don't remember it. But yeah, I do remember seeing those in my parents' collection, though. So, Roy Hargrove, and great jazz player. And this is Roy Hargrove's Chrysal. Is that, I think that's how you say that, or Chrysal. Grande Terra. And this album was actually recorded in 1998. So it's a little bit later for Roy. It does feature Willie Jones on drums, Julio Barreto on drums, and also Sherman Irby on alto sax, Larry Willis on piano. It's got a lot of great modern players, sort of Afrocentric kind of themes. It does have a song called Kamala's Dance. How appropriate. And no, it's not Kamala. I've been practicing. Okay. Nilsson sings Newman. So these are Randy Newman songs that Harry Nilsson sings. This is a great early album from Harry. Features Vine Street and Caroline, classic album reissued on vinyl. It's about time. I believe that Randy actually, yeah, I was going to say Randy actually plays on this album. He plays the piano. And so you've got a great pianist and a great singer. What can go wrong? That's a great album. Ugh. I love seeing this on vinyl again. Sparks. Really, at this time, they were called Half Nelson. And this is their debut full album, Half Nelson. I believe Todd Rundgren produced this. Yep. So you get Ron and Russell looking very, very 70s there. This is 54 years old. Was it 1970, I think? Maybe not that old. 72. So 52 years old. This features the track Wonder Girl and also No More Mr. Nice Guys. I've talked at length about Sparks on this channel here, and fantastic stuff. Quirky. But if you like early Todd Rundgren and you want like something quirkier, I mean, it's sort of a mix of like Frank Zappa, Queen, and Todd Rundgren. It's Californian too, so it's a very odd, I don't know, it's an interesting mix. I love Sparks. And yes, they were called Half Nelson at first. Good thing they changed their name, right? The DBs. This is their album Repercussion. This is a remaster of this. Their first ever US pressing, a 9.0 from Pitchfork. Coke bottle clear vinyl. Repercussion is essential listening. It is necessary. It is pure and magnificent. It is a triumph. Listen to it and absorb it, says Pop Dose. An Uncut magazine. This is the DB's finest. The tension between two writer styles reaching its quasi-psychedelic peak. Scott Litt produced this, who did a lot of REM stuff. So, yeah. Peter Holsapple and Chris Stamey, the DBs, they still put out stuff for Record Store Days and whatnot. Couple of Kinks reissues this week from the 70s. We get Sleepwalker and Misfits. These albums sold really well back in the day. I see them on the shelf a lot of time in the used section, and yeah, they're still sought after. So a couple of Kinks to complete any Kink fan collection. And they're remastered too. Iris DeMent, and a reissue remaster of her album My Life 30th Anniversary. This is was a really big singer-songwriter album back in the day. It did very well. Yeah, produced by Jim Rooney. This is on Yep Rock. And it doesn't, oh, it's, yeah, I said maroon vinyl. So it is color vinyl. A couple of jazz things sort of snuck in here. Dizzy Gillespie, and this is his album Live in Chester. This is I think these came in a little late. This is an orange and blue vinyl record, and this is from 1956, done in Chester, Pennsylvania, at the Club Bel Air. So if you're in this area, that's sort of significant. Also, Art Blakey and A Day with Art Blakey. And this is a classic hard bop jazz from his early 60s lineup, the Jazz Messengers, live in Japan on metallic silver vinyl. Jamie Merritt. Oh, it's the same people. Oh, Wayne Shorter's on tenor sax. Lee Morgan, Bobby Timmons. I mean, these are like classic Jazz Messengers stuff. It's just what it says. A couple other music. These are sort of like things that came from like the RSD Essentials. I don't. This is another one. This is Brutal Truth, and I'm trying to remember what the name of this record is, but they're doing sort of more like kind of off the beaten path type records. I think this one was something about extreme conditions, something about that. But Brutal Truth, hardcore stuff. It's on Earache Records, 1992. It's got this cool like Obi strip thing going on. The metal people know what I'm talking about. This one, I may have to cover this up a little bit. Booby Night. I don't know about this cover. Booby Night and the Universal Lady. This is an RSD Essential also. Red Hot, red color vinyl edition. 50th anniversary pressing. First ever vinyl reissue. Featuring the Love Maniacs. Sampled by NWA, Outkast, 50 Cent, Public Enemy, and more. Wow. It's crazy, right? Also features the song Feeling My Cheerios and Somebody Touch Me in the Right Place. Booby Night. Yes, she's a painting, by the way, so it's not that terrible. All right, couple of Christmas records that sneak in this week. Bare Naked Ladies, Bare Naked for the Holidays. I think this was sort of a later record for them, 2004. So they'd already had like their big hits and all, but this does have God Rest You Merry Gentlemen and We Three Kings with Sarah McLachlan and Elf's Lament with Michael Bublé. So got to keep it all Canadian in that house. And a couple other Christmas things. Ella Fitzgerald, Ella Wishes You a Swinging Christmas. This is a classic record, but this is like a double record. I'm not sure if this was done by, I think this was just Verve. I want to say it was like Acoustic Sounds, but I don't think it is. But anyway, they added a second record. So there's like 10, 12 extra songs on this over the original. And it features Baby It's Cold Outside, infamous song now with Louis Jordan, and a couple of Louis Armstrong songs. I've Got My Love to Keep Me Warm and G Baby Ain't I Good to You. Also features the single version of the Christmas song. Some songs are mono, some are stereo, and some alternate takes too. But that's really cool for Ella completists and enthusiasts to find other tracks like that. Also this week, this was a little bit late, should have been here a couple weeks ago. Lost Christmas Eve by Trans-Siberian Orchestra, one of their Christmas records, and it had never been on vinyl before. So this was, I think, the third, the final installment of their trilogy, featuring Wizards in Winter and Christmas Canon Rock. All right, so, and then CDs, and I do have one more record that's new, and then I'm going to do my my recommend too. But Charlie XCX, this is the sort of import release of this, so we could get it a little early. This is called Brat, and it's completely different, but also still Brat. And this is the album and then the remix album on CD. It's a 2 CD set. I love the cover because it's so it shows up like when I'm showing it to you, it shows up right, but yeah, it's actually backwards looking at it. The Pogues, Red Roses for Me. They did do a vinyl reissue of this, but this is also the CD. CD2 has a bunch of singles and B-sides, and then there's a ton of Peel sessions, John Peel stuff. Maybe like 10 tracks of that. So that's a 2 CD set, and the new Boney James Slow Burn, if you like smooth jazz, on CD. And then I have my recommend. My recommend this week is very special, and it's a new release, so I'm going to kind of double and sort of put that over on two things. But this is something I've been waiting for a while. And the cover is sort of humorous, I know. This is David Sylvian's Everything and Nothing. Who is David Sylvian? He's the lead singer of a band called Japan. They were very influenced by Roxy Music back in the late 70s, early 80s. He went solo in the mid 80s and became sort of a avant-garde folk jazz type artist who then sort of drifted into more electronic stuff. But all very kind of ambient, a lot of very cool sort of like stripped down jazzy textures. If you like Nick Drake, he's sort of in that vein. He sounds slightly more croony than that. If you're sort of like put him in the field of like Scott Walker, some of his earlier stuff. But anyway, this is his collection. So he's had several solo records, a few. But this actually is a 3 LP collection that this album came out on CD in like 2000. And they've made it into a 3-record set. So this is the first time on vinyl for this. This is kind of like a greatest hits for him, but I'll tell you why it's important for me. It's the first time on vinyl for his 29-track career-spanning compilation from 2000, featuring songs from Japan and Raintree Crow, as well as David's Virgin Records solo years. Also includes collaborations with Ryuichi Sakamoto, rest in peace, and Robert Fripp. Alongside remixes of Ghosts, which was kind of Japan's, probably their biggest hit on the charts in the UK. A very Halloweeny song, by the way. And Bamboo Houses. The album features tracks such as The Beautiful Ride from the Secrets of the Beehive sessions, plus the classic Some Kind of Fool, taken from Japan's sessions for Gentlemen Take Polaroids. So Some Kind of Fool was an unreleased song by Japan that they took 20 years to put on this compilation, where David did sort of minimal adjustments to it here and there. But the song Ride is one of my favorites, if not my very favorite song by Sylvan. It's an 8-minute song. It was cut from the Secrets of the Beehive sessions, which is probably one of my top 3 favorite albums of all time. And I didn't get to hear that song for 13, 14 years until after that album came out. And all I could think was, why was this song cut from the album? This should have been the single from the album. It's that good. Maybe they could have edited it down the 8 minutes a little bit, but I love it because I think the musicality on it is just very beautiful. Shut the door, lock out the world, and listen to Ride. It is fantastic. And his ability to be so poetic with his words and phrasing, even on a song like that, it's like when your cast-offs are better than most people's best songs. Anyway, this also features The Scent of Magnolia, which was the first single from this record. And then I could go through all of these songs and tell you why they're all special in different ways. But I think it's better for you to probably listen to some of them yourself. And he's the kind of singer that is not going to click with everybody on the first or second listen, because his voice is so pitched low, kind of croony. I mean, it started off very kind of snarky and a lot of punky attitude on the first couple Japan records. And then by the third record, Quiet Life, it had definitely changed. He was deliberately singing much more sort of like lower register and more croony, really. But it's a beautiful voice. Everything he does is so detailed, and big influence on the Steven Wilsons of today, I think. And they share a lot of sort of things in the artistry. In fact, if you listen to Steven's other band, No Man, the one with Tim Bonus, They have a big podcast kind of thing that they do, and his voice sounds a little bit like Tim's, and is sort of the approach that Tim takes on they took together on the No Man records, and that Tim sort of does solo a bit. You could put it in the category with bands like Blue Nile, Mid Period Talk, stuff like that. So anyway, stream this, and see what you think. I mean, Everything and Nothing is great. I'm not going to have a lot of these on hand because they're very expensive imports. So like 3 records, it's not terrible. 3 records around $75. But definitely, I think if you're into like any of those artists that I've mentioned, and you sort of like moodier singer-songwriters for rainy days or whatever, definitely an artist to check out. He's been very quiet for the last 15 years. Not sure what's going on there. He's very private. So, but anyway, love David Sylvan. All right, thanks guys. So I worked my recommend into new releases today. Have a great week. Thanks so much. And the next couple weeks, there's a lot coming out. The 25th is a very big new release week. So Crosby, Stills and Nash, Green Day, Tears for Fears, Queen, Laura Marling, Halsey, Soccer Mommy. There's a lot coming next week. So new stuff. Yay, the holidays are coming. All right. Take care of yourselves. I know this was a lot today. Every week tends to be. Last week wasn't so much. All right. Peace. Thanks again. Be well.